Well, how does this happen? I have like 6 packages, 2 envelopes and 4 cardboardy boxes, a couple thin ones, one medium size, one big. I just accumulate stuff, so I guess I got to open it. And you're here to help or listen. So let's go. I got this first envelope from Stefan Surat, who I interviewed several weeks ago. He writes or has written stuff for Weird Frontiers. I think it's Dragon Peak Publishing, I believe is his company. It was a really good interview, and we want to have him, I think, on a future episode of Cerebrivore. So let's see what he sent. Here's an envelope, so it's really easy to tear open. Oh, very nice. Oh, that's very cool. Thanks, Stefan. If you listen, he sent me a copy of his module, his dual module for Weird Frontiers, The Brimstone Cradle and The Hills That Hunger. Nice. I guess I will run them. I've been wanting to run like a Weird Frontier for some of my guys. Oh wow, I love really nice maps and handouts there, Stefan. Love the production value. I really appreciate that you kind of did it in the DCC format where the print is big and it's 2 columns. I can read this without my readers. It's very nice. It really looks pretty neat. It should be fun. Brimstone Cradle and The Hills That Hunger. So Brimstone Cradle is a Christmassy adventure, and The Hills That Hunger is around a mine. The great fire lit up the darkness. Sheriff found tracks in the hills. Go find out what happened. So Hills That Hunger is level 0 to 1, and the Christmas one, the Brimstone Cradle, is level 2. And the Brimstone Cradle is kind of like you roll up and you find a shelter, and you got to survive the night in that shelter because weird shit happens. All right, well, that's very nice. Thanks, Stefan, again for the Weird Frontiers DCC RPG, Brimstone Cradle, and Hills That Hunger print copying. Thanks a lot. That's awesome. All right, the next one is another envelope from Paizo, probably part of the Adventure Path that I'm like a legacy subscriber. I've been subscribing to Paizo Adventure Path since they started, with way back with Rise of the Rune Lords, which I'd love to run one of these days to its completion. I did run it as a play-by-post some time ago, and I did try to run it live. I ran it as a play-by-post, and we got through the first 2 books, actually, a play-by-post, which is pretty impressive, I think. And we kind of got mired in the beginning of the second book. And then when I tried to do it live, I just got to the end of the first book, and we never really finished. But here, this is for Bloodlords Adventure Path Graveclaw. That's the second in the Adventure Path. So, yeah, it looks pretty interesting. I don't recognize where this... Oh, it's taking place in Geb. So in the southern continent, it looks like in Graveclaw, I guess Rise of the Bloodlords. The Troubleshooters, I guess that's the PCs, seek out a hag coven, pulling the strings of a poisonous plot from Shadow Forest to undersea communities between rusted-out factories and university lecture halls. The characters must investigate trails of misery and fear or end up stewing in the hag's cauldron. Bloodlords Adventure Path continues with Graveclaw, complete adventure for levels 4 to 7. They already have it on Fantasy Grounds. I saw, I do get the PDFs, and I do get a discount on Fantasy Grounds. So if I run it, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to get Pathfinder stuff for my live crew, but for you guys who are listening and are on the, I guess the VTT crew. I don't know, the guys I play with all over the world who I can't meet live with, but we play a lot of games. Yeah, we've been playing Abomination Vaults. We actually finished. They cleared out level 3, so we're I guess a little more than 3/4 of the way done with the adventure. They're going to go down to level 4, but I feel like it's not as packed looking at it, so I don't think it'll take as long, and they will solve some mysteries that they found. They actually found some very interesting esoterica and documentation left by the big bad, and they found an artifact. They did. They in Abomination Vaults in the first adventure. There is an artifact, and they found it. So we'll see what they do with it. It is a very powerful book, but it does have a curse. So we'll see if they use it. Maybe with maybe Dr. Eleazar, who's played by B.J. Boyd of the Arcane Alienist. Now that he has the staff of the Necromancer, he will have in one hand his staff, and in the other hand the book called The Whispering Reeds. So yeah, it's pretty neat. But this Graveclaw looks pretty cool. It does look pretty cool. It's in a place where they haven't really put an adventure path before, Paizo. So one of these days, I mean, I love the Alkenstar stuff. That looks pretty cool too. And it seems like, it's calling them investigators. It looks like Paizo Golarion has gone, kind of more kind of Renaissance-y in their thinking and putting together a group of adventurers who problem solve as well as delve into dungeons. That seemed to be the case for the Agents of Edgewatch, which they play, police who are a police force who is associated with the city of Absalom, for example. Then they had like a group of carnies in the Extinction Curse. So they're putting, I think they're always thinking and innovating on how to get a group of adventurers together and what kind of context to put them in. Right, the Alkenstar one. I mean, the Abomination Vaults is pretty traditional. You start in a small town. There's a ruin nearby. Let's go investigate it because it's really important to the survival of the town to investigate and stop all the monsters that come out of it. But other ones like the Alkenstar is a very Wild Westy. This one seems kind of East African inspired. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Next one is a box. All right, the box. It is about a half an inch wide, and it is like 11 by about 11 by 17. The envelope. It is from Lightning Source, so it means drive-through. So what did I order from drive-through that I just don't remember what I ordered? And man, I haven't been able to use the new thing because these are easy to open relatively. I don't have to use a whatchamabopper. Oh, very cool. This is from a Kickstarter. A Kickstarter run by BRW Games, and this is Adventures Dark and Deep, Swords of Cthulhu by Joseph Block. It actually prompted me to look for Adventures Dark and Deep on drive-thru and get they had the base set free, but this is pretty cool. I really like it when I look through the, it's very evocative of old school D&D, and Swords of Cthulhu would be, adding Deep One hybrids to your AD&D type game. The Cultist is a character class. So pretty. The art is very old school in sensibility. Big picture of a bunch of cultists summoning an aspect of Cthulhu. So they really do have a lot of new spells, new skills. So a lot of it is, of course, spells that seem to be typical in a player's type handbook. They talk about sanity and insanity, and lots of tables, new monsters done for a D&D. They do have Shoggoth in here, so we do have another AD&D style Shoggoth. So pretty cool. Let me see, what does it say? Hit dice. Hit dice is 12d12, so up to 144 hit points, I guess. Armor class 1, 2 attacks. Nothing super special. Oh, special defenses and attacks below. Let's see the Shoggoth. Nope, doesn't say. Masters of mental powers, special. No special defenses, but they have a special attack. And no weaknesses. Interesting. Maybe they forgot the special attack because I don't see it in there. What is the special attack? Just gives a description of them. That's weird. Maybe 5% are 5% are intelligent. That's it. It's kind of weird. Anyway, Shoggoth don't seem very, very nasty in there, but there's plenty of other things. that are nasty in here. So magic items too, related to Call of Cthulhu. I saw something about Elder Sign, and they do have some great old ones in here as well. Demigods, deities, demigods, and dwellers in the deep. So they have Azathoth, Cthulhu, Dagon, etc., etc. Looks like they're easy to hit, but probably difficult to deal with. But even Nyarlathotep here is AC2, 400 hit points. Shub Niggurath, Sathagwa, Yig are all in here. Yog Sotha. Pretty cool. Lots of random tables. So it's pretty nice. I think it's a pretty nice little book. Clocks in at about 120, looks like about 127 pages. You see the last bit of text. 128 pages. So there it is. Adventures Dark and Deep, Swords of Cthulhu. New character classes, races, spells, monsters, and more for your old school game. Your Adventures Dark and Deep, which is AD&D. Pretty smooth, slick there. But I haven't really checked out the rule system. They have a lot of different kind of AD&D classes. I think he went back through looking at if you remember from the old days, Dragon used to have these NPC classes, but I know that the Adventures Dark and Deep went through and kind of codified them for this rule set. All right, next one. I'll go the next kind of envelope-y thing. This one is it says International Priority from the Fulfillment Team Games Quest. It is also about a half an inch thick. It's kind of like just two slats put together. It's about also about 11 by, but this time 11 by like 20 or so. So this one I will have to use my box cutter, which is super sharp actually. So don't cut towards me. I cut my leg off. All right. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. This is from Modifius. It's a fulfillment from a Kickstarter fulfillment from ages ago for Infinity. And yes, it is the Acheron Cascade book. It is a campaign book for Infinity, which is pretty cool. You know what? I got a copy of this at my local gaming store, Dragon's Lair. So this is an extra, which might be coming to a contest near you for a sci-fi game, because it's a double. Or maybe I will send it up to Kevin Madison for part of his raffle group for Infinity. I don't know. That's curious. I'll put the cardboard around it to let me know. Maybe put it back in the bubble wrap. But I'm not going to go through it. Well, I guess I could go through it. I don't feel like I should go through it. But it is a campaign book for Infinity. And actually, go look for it because it's out in print now. After a few years, I would say, after the Kickstarter. Like I said, some of these early Kickstarters that Modifius did for Conan and for Infinity, there's so many, what are those called? Not add-ons, but stretch goals that they hit, that they just are still trying to fulfill them, which is kind of weird. All right, the next one I'll go next is it's a heavier box, also from Lightning Source. What else did I order from Lightning Source? Anyway, so it's from Lightning Source. It is a thicker box. It's about 1.5 inches, and then 11 by 17. I think I will use box cutter for this. Just makes it a little easier to break open. I thought it would be. Oh, wow, okay. This is also a Kickstarter fulfillment that they did through drive-thru. And this is for all the Cepheus Deluxe stuff. This is like a lot of kind of zine styles. This is two zine style books. Cepheus Adam, which is lightweight role-playing game, kind of post-apocalyptic. The bombs fell. using the Cepheus engine for like a post-apocalyptic basic rules and creation. What do you got in here? Common equipment, contamination. Yeah, it's like a post-apocalyptic game. They have, I wonder what new careers they have for this. Don't say, it's just about exploration in it. Contaminations and mutations. I guess you could incur mutations, random encounters, relic tables. So I guess if you did like a post-apocalyptic using the Cepheus engine, the other one's Quantum Starfarer. That's the other little zany thing, and this one is starships across lightweight sci-fi for one-offs. So kind of starships, light starship type stuff. And then there's a larger books. Wow, larger books. There's a hardback book, a thick book, and another kind of paperback, two paperbacks. So the one paperback, the first one, a paperback, like a normal size paperback, and then two paperbacks. One is thicker than the other one. The first one is Privacy and Privateering. So how to do that. It's a system neutral source book to help us start a space pirate campaign, which is pretty cool. The art is very much like old school traveler type art, classic traveler type art, but pretty cool. And I don't see any, there's some tables and stuff, and then there's like what kind of crew you might have in the ship, random encounters, how to make money as a space pirate, adventure seeds, kind of like a either like 101 patrons, or is it 1001 patrons, or kind of something like that, like they do in Traveler. The next one is a Terra Arisen. So this is a space opera setting for Cepheus Deluxe. It introduces characters to the immediate aftermath of the Terra Liberation War against the Reticulan Empire and its thralls. So that's a pretty thick book. It's about 211 pages. My cat is trying to get into here. This is a full-on campaign book for that setting, which seems pretty cool. I wonder if it has new... I was looking for new careers, if they do new careers, or you just use character generation. Let me see. Character generation, aliens, Chisek, humans, Reticulan hybrid, Cethalenian, and some sort of reptilian Zooth. So I guess it tells you what kind of you can use. There's new detailed careers, which is kind of cool. Imperial Huskar sounds cool. Reticulan Noble. So I guess you could play the bad guys in this one. War events table. So pretty cool. Medals and decorations that you might have. The art's pretty cool. It's like a combination of black and white and color art. So it talks about the Reticulan Empire. So really good primer for that, and a way to run a campaign using Cepheus in that. And the last one is Space Patrol. Complete rules for creating Space Patrol characters with detailed careers, expanded event and mishap tables. So how to run a Space Race campaign and the missions of the Space Patrol and the organization. Deck plans that you might think, NPCs, most wanted, so definitely adventure seeds, and a full-on like a little adventure. So pretty cool. Well, so that is like all the stuff from Cepheus that I got from this Kickstarter. Goes in the pile. Last one is a box from Studio 2 Publishing. This is a full-on box, 5 inches deep by like 11 by 17 or so, from Studio 2 Publishing. Oh, it says Cobalt Press. Probably the Ebb and Tide stuff. I predict that. Also Kickstarter fulfillment. I guess all these Kickstarters are being fulfilled right now. 2 books are in here, complete with bubble wrap. And let's see, the first book is Book of Ebb and Tides. The plane of shadow exists behind the mortal world, twisted reflection of the material plane where fey magic, illusion, and trickery are as potent as steel. Heroes can enter this otherly realm of fey shadows, undead horrors, and wild adventures, but can they survive? So details on the fey courts, bear folk, yes, ghouls, shades, and more. 17 playable races and sub-races, including sable elves, Shadowborn, Bearfolk, and Umbral humans, 10 subclasses, 17 gods of the Shadow Realms, 25 creatures, full color maps for exploration. Yeah, it's pretty thick. That's kind of cool. So it's pretty interesting, right? So there's now that how the talk of the one D&D and the new incarnation, and I remember there's a big concern towards the end of 3.5 of like the bloat, and there's definitely a lot of material now for 5e, different worlds, so many character choices and character species that you can play, bioforms, however you call it, ancestries, but kind of cool. I would like to play Bearfolk. Bearfolk sounds cool to me. Bearfolk, I see a Bearfolk Ranger. Fun. Bearfolk in Midgard. So this could be like a full-on shadow campaign, I guess, is what you would want to do, maybe. There are Umbral humans. You could play human. Oh, I like these creatures. What are these? These are Ratatosk little squirrel creatures. Irina, hedgehog, bipedal hedgehog folk. That sounds fun. Raven folk. There's a snake, reptilian type creature. Weird gnomes. So pretty neat. Interesting. I guess a different type of campaign for the Book of the Ebon Tides. So kind of neat, I think, if you play in the Shadow Realm. And then Tales of the Shadows is the second book. It's a 192-page tome, 14 new adventures suitable for levels 1 to 8, playable separately or in sequence. So a background plot surrounding thread of fabled items, the Shadow Grimoire, which ties the adventures together, lots of maps and dozens of illustrations. So that's cool. So I guess it would be like for like a shadow-focused campaign, and they have the tools to do it. So starting from probably level 1, which might be fun to do. Quite a few adventures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. Nice. From 1st to 8th level. That's good. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm always happy with Kobold Press's offerings. I definitely would like to run a campaign in Midgard, whether it's actually the one I'd love to run is Empire of the Ghouls, but I have Scarlet Citadel as well, stuff in the Southlands. I'm a subscriber to their Patreon, so they come out with this zine, Warlock zine, that is published, I would say, bi-monthly. I think it's a bi-monthly publication, and then they give you lots of little Warlock adventures and tales. So I have so much material for Midgard, and now I got more. Tales from the Shadows and the Book of Ebon Tides. Wow, that's 20 minutes of unboxings plus 20 minutes. So I apologize, but hey, you can skip over this, and then now we'll get on to the rest of the show and respond to some call-ins. Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.
Hey Carl, Jason here. Listen to a plethora of call-ins, and I just finished a recap of Star Frontiers. Yeah, I think it worked fine. I like the system personally. It's been so many years since I even looked at it, and I didn't relook at it before we played. But it's D percentile. It runs really easily. It's intuitive. I like the way the experience points are used to increase your stats and your skills. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I would definitely be happy to try to hop in another game of it. As far as the character sheet and the VTT, I thought the VTT was fine. I like that we were doing a little more theater of the mind instead of everything being, especially since we weren't doing exploration with hexes, or not hexes. We weren't doing exploration where everybody was moving each square, right? Like individually. And then you're worried about, oh no, so-and-so's gone this far and you haven't moved yet. So kudos to you for running it. I thought you ran it fine. As far as the character sheet goes, Yeah, I thought it went smoother when we just used the die roller and rolled a straight percentile as opposed to messing with the character sheet. Not because you had it set up wrong, but because the character sheet has like three or four prompts. Well, it's like three prompts that come up. So you click to roll a die, and then it pops up and asks a question, pops up and asks another question, pops up and asks another question, and it's faster just to click roll percentile dice and do all that in your head. That's one of the reasons with my Barbarians Lemuria's game now, I've gotten away from using Roll20, or at least the die roll in Roll20, because it does the same thing. The character sheets for Barbarians Lemuria have at least two pop-ups whenever you click the button, and it just slows it down when it's a lot faster just to do the math. So, I mean, it was fine. I thought you did a fine job. I wouldn't fuss over the character sheet. And honestly, if everybody wrote down their bonus, had everything written down right, or you had a character sheet that just showed the bonuses and all right, then I think you could get rid of all the you clicking on the character sheet shit and just roll dice and be done with it. And we could roll electronic dice and Roll20, but it'll be faster than fiddling with, okay, what do I input in this field? What do I input in this field? What's this field? You know what I mean? That adds the board gaminess of a VTT, which is what I don't like. But I had a heck of a lot of fun. I thought it went fine, and I thought you did a great job. And I'll say this, the part where the creature wasn't eating the dummy because you kept rolling very high rolls, including 100 one time, 00 one time. Honestly, so some people could look at that as like, oh, that's BS. Carl's a bad GM. He just should have had to eat the dummy. But the other way to look at it is, maybe this thing is to interpret the die rolls. Maybe this thing's smarter than it looks, and it's nosing around, and, it chomped on the arm, and it chomped on this, but it senses something isn't right, so it's kind of fiddling with it and playing with it. But, so I think if we just interpret the die rolls, instead of deciding ahead of time what that means, then it all actually works out perfectly fine and makes sense. Like I said, I thought you did a great job. Happy to play in it when we can all get together again. And let me listen to the rest of the episode.
Hey, Jason, thank you for the call. I thought the game went well. You're right. The only kind of snafus were a couple times where the character sheet wasn't working as intended, and then all the prompts, right? So just to let people know, when you could enter everything and then hit a single combat button after you put on a separate page the weapon that you were using. And this is really only in combat that this happened, and for healing. And then you'd have a little message pop up, what's your target? And the only thing the target was really used for, because it doesn't subtract any hit points or anything when you do damage like you would see in Fantasy Grounds, is to give you like what you hit in the little macro that comes out when the algorithms resolve the attack. So then you click on the token that you're attacking, and then it says, okay, is there a to hit modifier? Is there a damage modifier? And then you enter all those, and then it does its thing, and it tells you if you hit or not based on comparison with the percentile dice, and then does the damage if you hit or not. So it's a cool little macro, but it can be cumbersome. And then sometimes some of the prompts get hidden behind like a one tab out or whatever. So yeah, that was the only thing that I felt was off about it. And you're right, you could just look at your percentage, add in your modifiers in your head, roll the percentile dice and go, oh yeah, I got under there, and then roll damage. You could do it manually, which was no problem, just by referencing your character sheet, or even, if you found a new weapon, like how much it did, like when you guys found spears, which was kind of cool. And yeah, thanks for backing me up on like what happened with the monster, where it didn't want to eat, or it didn't eat it was a cool idea, but it just didn't work, And then, I don't know, I guess I would have had it roll stamina to see if it had, when it ingested that stuff, it would have worked. But it was fine all the same. Kind of cool the way it ended, I thought. So there we go, yeah, and I definitely would like to continue. I don't know if we ever get a chance to it's like one of those backup games that we have, or a game that we'll play occasionally. Like we still got to get back and finish um, Amy's birthday game at some point when our schedules sync, and I think it's gone well so far. I'm so far behind on, and we recorded it, and it sounds pretty cool, but it's kind of far behind on going through that. Now I definitely empathize with Andy Goodman and trying to parse through and edit out all the stuff on the Grizzly Peaks radio that he does, because that's a mess. But one of these days we'll get to finish that and finish these other things. Um, so so thanks for playing, and I had a great time, and I think the system is done well. It's actually kind of, I, I don't know, maybe it doesn't have all the details from a modern game, but it's pretty simple in its design and philosophy, and you don't have a lot. I mean, I guess you could expand it by the types of weapons that you might have, and I'm sure they do that. Like in the module, I'm sure they have new equipment and new weapons that they add to the list, and definitely new monsters, right? So it's kind of goes back to that idea in like old school. You have the basic stuff in the rule book, and then as you progress through the modules, that you have like add-ons for monsters and equipment, maybe a rules stuff here and there. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It wasn't too hard to figure out. Again, some spot rules for certain things, um, but pretty fun to play, and I hope we can play again.
As far as Palladium Fantasy goes, yeah, definitely. And the cool thing is, there's some great classes in there. So depending what you want to do, if you pick your species before you roll your stats. So if you want to be a Wolven, you're a Wolven, and let's be honest, a witch needs like a 5 intelligence or something. So no matter what you roll, you're going to qualify to be a witch. So worst case scenario, you could be a witch and raise those things. You know what I mean? If you don't qualify to be a different kind of caster. But most of the casters don't have really terribly high stat requirements, I don't think. So you should be okay. We'll get together and figure it out. It's unfortunately, since I'm going to run that first adventure, the Arms of Naravan, we're not going to start in the northern Wilderlands like we thought we were. We're actually going to be down the kingdom, but that's okay, because you can still have a Wolven down there. It doesn't matter, and you'll be able to still have that character. So it's all good. Yeah. So let me get back to your show.
Hey, Jason, thank you for that clarification. I am now more. I was kind of like, oh man, I want to play a Wolven, and I hope I can qualify to play what I want to play. I was inspired by that Keith Parkinson cover, and it'd be neat to play some sort of Wolven caster. And now you say it's kind of easy to qualify, so I doubt I'll be able to raise the dead right away. But I'm getting excited for this game. I really hope we can get it done and add it to that pop-up list of one-shots that we're getting to do. Maybe you're converting me. Maybe doing one shot or one adventure and then move on to the next thing is okay, and I don't have to get all concerned and anxious about not having a campaign or a mini campaign. So it can be kind of fun. Maybe it's fun to be a player once in a while too. Although I I'm very choosy about my GMs. I don't know why, but I am. So anyway, thank you for the call, and we'll get on to the next caller, which is Joe Salvador.
Hey, Carl, it's Joe. Hey, man, sorry for this belated call in. With the Anchor apocalypse raining fire down everywhere across the globe, I had to kind of jump through hoops and get onto Anchor to figure out how to call you. But here I am. I just want to say that I don't remember calling about Askold, but I thought it was a great recap of Askold, and I think you touched on some things that I'm really happy with in the game. I really like how characters can be very differentiated. Like, if one person is playing a fighter, that fighter's not going to be like, every other fighter, right? with the way the classes and the careers work out. Yeah, I think there's a lot of character choices to be made there. And then when I saw your Parkinson cover up there, I got real excited because that's really one of my favorite images. Um, oh, I got cut off there. Yeah, that Parkinson cover is just amazing to me. And like you said, there's not a whole lot going on in it, but it's really stuck with me. Like, I don't know, it must have influenced my child mind. But the realism is in it, and the lack of like obvious magic or monsters or whatever. I don't know. I think that probably informed some of my like current opinions on fantasy and sword and sorcery. But yeah, really great pick. Um, that third edition book, like you said, absolutely amazing. Like I have it, and I keep thinking, yeah, I'm never going to use this again. I should probably get rid of it. And then I open it, and I'm like, this is a really great looking book. Um, yeah, just as a setting book, it's top quality. Yeah, and Night Below. Yeah, I'm really interested in that scenario. Keep us posted. Anyway, great episodes, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, Joe, thank you for the calls. I do love playing Askold. Sometimes I'm maybe not as into it as I could be, but when I'm in, I'm in. I really enjoy it. I do enjoy the system. I hope it comes out sooner than later so we can see some Reaver and buy some Reaver and do a Kickstarter for Reaver. Um, yeah, I know that you have a really good artist lined up, so let us know. I thought we talked about maybe having portraits of these like iconics that we're using in the playtest. I think it'd be kind of fun to have like portraits commissioned, and definitely would love to help with that. And yeah, I mean, Forgotten Realms. I mean, don't throw your stuff away. I'm thinking in the back of my head, maybe a one shot, maybe like a one adventure thing. Let's dive back into Forgotten Realms using 3.5 or Pathfinder. Um, yeah, I kind of just like a few things that Pathfinder does. If you have like a barbarian or paladin or bard, and I love the channeling mechanic better than what 3.5 does. So I would have to go through an adventure, and there's this one adventure that I remember that's really cool, where you fight the hated Zentarum. I think it's called something Raiders of something Roost. Anyway, but it's a really cool introductory adventure. It takes place in the Dale Lands, and I've always wanted to run it. I think I've run it before, and maybe the players were kind of had some trepidation because it reminded them of a similar scene or a problem that occurred in the Forge of Fury, where they got pretty messed up. So yeah, they kind of held off, and maybe we didn't run it, or maybe something happened anyway. But there's some really really neat adventures in the Dungeon magazine that could be done as one shots in various locations in the realms, um, or even like some of the like I think N1 or N2, the Needle, or some other one, or the Doom that came to Daggerdale, or something like that, where they're like first level adventures that take place in the realms. It'd be fun to do like a one shot of those, either in the 2E or Forgotten Realms, using the 3.0, 3.5 book and switching it to like Pathfinder 1 or something. Probably converting to Pathfinder 2 is a little more challenging, but definitely doable for Pathfinder 1. And I thought I had a really great idea. One of the adventures that I'd love to run, what's it called? I think it's called Something of the Spider Queen. And it's this like Underdark adventure that is for higher level characters. And I wanted to run it. And I did run like the first few encounters. I was going to do it in two directions. I was going to have like an Underdark focus group and an above ground focus group and see what happened. And I was able to only get a few encounters in on the above ground group, and on the below ground group they were trying to break out of a prison. And I think they got to a point where it's just, I don't know if they were able to get out, but anyway, I was like looking through some of the transcripts. It's all play by post on Hero Central a long time ago, but it'd be kind of neat to have like to try to recapitulate that, and have an underground group or an above ground group, or have a group break out of a prison in the Underdark. I know there's a 5e product, Out of the Abyss, that kind of does that, and we actually ran the breakout, but that's as far as we got, and we never got to continue it. But I have that product too, which is kind of neat, and I think it nominally does take place in the realm, so that'd be a fun campaign to run as well. Anyway, thanks for the call and helping me, inspiring me to walk down memory lane. Thank you for running Reaver and including me in the development. And I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I think that'll be all for now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for my caller-ins, Joe Salvador and Jason Connerly. Hey, you can still get to me. I do get notifications if you use a web browser to leave a message through Anchor. You can also send me a voice recorder message at thegmologist@gmail.com or PM me through the various Discords. I have not set up a Google number or a Snapper, Chatter, Speak Pipey thing, but maybe I'll do that in the future if I have a dearth of messages, but I think I get plenty now. Thank you, TJ Drennan, for the intro and outro music. Thank you, Amy, for the clip art. She normally does it, but I think this time I am going to have a picture of the things that I unboxed. All right. Thanks for listening. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.